Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us today. I'd like to acknowledge that we are gathered on the traditional territory of the signatories of Treaty 6 and 7, and I acknowledge the Métis people who share a deep connection with this land. My name is Kasawski, and I am the Alberta NDP MLA for the riding of Sherwood Park, and Critic for Municipal Affairs, Mid-Sized Municipalities and Rural Alberta. I'm also joined today with Nathan Ip, who is the MLA for Edmonton Southwest. Almost a month ago, the UCP announced a moratorium on renewable energy development in Alberta. This announcement came without any warning or signal or consultation with the industry. And as you would expect, it has received significant backlash due to the investment and jobs that are at risk. But the exact projects and figures were not fully known. Estimates have been provided, but because this moratorium came out of nowhere, nobody had conducted the analysis to see how many projects would be affected. Clearly, the UCP didn't do the work either. But thankfully, the Pembina Institute did. Last week, they revealed the detailed economic impacts of the UCP's moratorium on investments in renewables. They found 118 projects currently in development that are either waiting for permitting approval or could submit an approval application within the next few months. The projects range across the province, with several in central Alberta. This includes areas such as Battle River, Caroline, Didsbury, Empress, Hanna, Sheerness, Provost, and right around here in Red Deer. In central Alberta alone, there are 39 projects totaling $11 billion in planned investment that will create almost 7,000 jobs. Just down the road in Innisfil, the town was planning to build a solar project that would generate up to $500,000 per year for the community. But that project, along with the others in the region, have now been put on hold due to the moratorium. That's $500,000 in annual tax relief in Innisfil for the residents that's been cancelled by the UCP for no reason. For more on what this means for our province, I'll turn it over to Nathan now.
Thank you, Kyle. As these figures show, there are massive economic opportunities for renewables in Alberta. We were, the fastest growing market for renewables anywhere in Canada, in fact. We've seen billions already invested into the sector and thousands of jobs created. And yet, the UCP has decided to shut down the sector for at least 7 months. It creates uncertainty and sends the wrong signal to international investors. This move is anti-business and shows the UCP can't be trusted to manage our economy. And I can assure you, the world is noticing. The UCP's moratorium has generated negative international headlines in the UK, the US, and elsewhere. And all of this is doing serious damage to our international reputation as a place to do business. When the Wall Street Journal is running headlines about the economic incompetence of the Alberta government, we have a problem. If we want to protect $11 billion in investment and create almost 7,000 jobs in Alberta and provide benefits to communities, the UCP must end this moratorium immediately and tell the world we are once again open for business. Thank you, and we're happy to take your questions.
Okay, we'll start with questions in person, then move to the line. If you're joining in person, just use the mic, please, so those on the line can hear.
Hi, my name is Alessia from RD News Now. My first question would be, with the, let's say these renewable projects were to go through and you were mentioning how much funds it would bring into the local economy, would that have a negative impact on the oil and gas industry in some way, that with the increase of their revenues, there would be a loss to the oil and gas industry revenues? What are your thoughts on that?
I think we've been very clear that we can in fact be leaders in both. We are certainly very proud of our oil and gas industry, but there's massive opportunity, economic opportunity in the renewable energy sector. And so it's not about either or. It's in fact, how do we be leaders in both and invest in both?
Yeah, just one more question. Recently we had a grid alert here in Alberta, and so I just want to know your thoughts on, how does this moratorium play into the fact that we are in need of more energy sources?
I'm actually going to pass this question on to Kyle.
In Alberta right now, we need more energy on the grid. We need energy that's going to be coming from renewable sources, and we also need to have grid stability. So the demand and the supply have to match, and right now the Alberta Electric Systems Operator is being handcuffed by the government from being allowed to bring new energy on, and that would help, so we would avoid these potential brownouts that are being threatened on the grid.
Thank you.
Any questions in person?
Lana Michelin from the Red Deer Advocate. We've done stories recently about people who are complaining about their sky-high electricity bills. Could you, would bringing on some renewable projects impact people's, what they're paying for utilities?
Yeah, so having more supply of renewables will lower electricity costs in this province. Right now, the big surprise, I think, for everybody is that renewable energy is providing the lowest cost new energy for the grid. And so we've got the issue with the current price of electricity, which is actually really a great topic to talk about with regards to economic withholding. But generally we need to know that more generation and more supply is going to lower the cost of electricity, and that will help people with their electricity bills.
Okay, thanks. And you mentioned a big project in Innisfail, and in the Red Deer area. Do you have any details about like names and what the projects entail around Red Deer?
Yeah, Mayor Barkley was pretty good about bringing that news to us about the project that they're developing on an industrial site in the town. It's not agricultural land. It's already been zoned for commercial project, and it's held back because of the size. It's over 1 megawatt, and will be they're not able to get it through the development process with the Alberta Utility Commission because of the moratorium that the government has put in place.
Okay, we'll move to questions on the line. First question goes to Bob Weber.
Hello, am I properly unmuted?
Yeah, you're good, Bob.
We can hear you.
Okay, great. One question here. Renewable energy projects tend to create a lot of tax revenue for the adjacent municipality. Have you folks done any analysis on which municipalities or which type of municipalities stand to benefit most from the growth of renewable power in Alberta?
The Pembina Institute report, which we referenced, is actually got a great section in it. I think it's actually on page 14, which actually shows. Yeah, and that actually breaks it down. When the projects are built and are running, there is a steady, consistent revenue that's going to come into the municipalities. What I understand is, for example, with Vulcan, Alberta, 45% of their municipal revenue now comes from the renewable energy projects that are in their county.
Is there a follow-up, Bob?
Well, just I don't know if this is a follow-up or not, but which of you was that speaking?
Oh, that was Kyle Kasawski, MLA for Sherwood Park.
Okay, Kyle. Thank you. Yeah, the follow-up is, does the tax revenue from these kinds of projects, is it tending to accrue to smaller or to larger communities, or is there a trend we can attribute there?
I would say that I don't know about a trend with regards to larger or smaller communities. I think that the revenue is going to communities that have good access to transmission and distribution, and also have good solar and wind sources. And also, we shouldn't forget that geothermal is also banned with this moratorium, and geothermal in Alberta has the potential to go nearly everywhere in this province and generate energy locally in municipalities across the province.
Okay, we'll go to our next caller. Go ahead, Catherine Krakowski.
Hi, thanks for taking my call. I was hoping to get some more details on that Innisfail project, because I know the government has said applications can still move forward, but they're just stopped at the approval stage. Do we know what stage in the process this Innisfail project is at?
Yeah, the town has a publicly available package that council was getting ready to bring forward, and they could make that available to you. They've got their site picked out. Council's already zoned it. Adjacent to Innisfail, they have a solar farm that is already generating revenue for the community. They've also got a great project with regards to retrofitting trains with hydrogen, and I think it's a really progressive community that is doing a lot of great work within the new energy.
Is there follow-up, Catherine?
Yeah. So the grid alert yesterday, ISO said, was in part due to low or no wind generation, and then a problem with the grid tie. What's the answer for that when the wind is unexpectedly not blowing, and then you got grid tie, which is another thing we hope to add to reliability? Like, what's the solution to that?
Yeah, I think the electric systems operator does an amazing job of making sure we have reliable and consistent energy. We have moments in the day, in the middle of the night, the wind might not be blowing, the sun might not be shining, and they still provide electricity for industrial and commercial processes and for our residential and business needs. And so to have a moment in the day where maybe there's a reference to the wind not blowing, there's an abundance of energy on the grid that could be supplying our needs at any moment.
Any other questions, Catherine?
Oh, that's okay. Thank you.
I'll do one last pass for questions, either in person or on the line. And seeing none, that's all for today. Thank you.